if you work out in a gym because you like it and you gain, is a whole different thing than some doctor saying you're going to die if you don't go train. You're going to hate it, so you want to just, there's so many different ways to look at it, but you want to do something before you have to do it. It's always a better place to start. And if you always know, if you're around people that you see that are high all the time and they're not really, people ask me, are you on Adderall? I'm like, what? What?
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Matt Rosenthal, and this is Digging In. If you're new to the show, we dig into what it takes to be a success in business and life and health, which is why today's guest is going to be unbelievable. The show comes out weekly, but in between, there's daily content. So tune in, make sure that you're on Instagram, you're on LinkedIn, you follow me, and you check us out every day for that content. It's really valuable. The reason I do this is because I want to help you reach your potential. For me along the way, people did that for me. And to pay it forward, to be of service is the greatest thing I can do for everybody. So with that being said, let's jump into it. Today, I have with me Linzi Martinez, Linzi with a Z, Linzi Martinez. She's an award-winning TV producer and host, pretty amazing. Also, very cool, the CEO of Body on Fire, which she's going to talk about, and another company called Shapewear. She's an actor, she's a celebrity personal trainer, nutritional therapist. Like, there's just too much here. I'm blown away. This is going to be so much fun. So I want to say one thing though, stay until the end because there's going to be something really cool at the end. And she doesn't know it yet, but she's going to tell us how after 40, and this is for me, I want to know this, how you get a six-pack, right? So if you tune in for the entire show, that's going to be the prize at the end of the show. So we usually pick a theme, right? And so because of all of the experience that Linzi has and what she brings to the table, I want to talk about transformation. So everything we talk about today is going to be transformation, mind, body, spirit, and she's going to get into it. She's going to get into it. So long intro, but thank you so much, Linzi, for joining me today.
Matt, thank you so much for having me. It's wonderful.
So let's state the obvious. You're in amazing condition, right? Let's get right into it. So I want to know how, like, where the passion started. What did you just wake up one day at some point in life and you're like, I'm going to get in amazing shape? Or has it been like a lifelong endeavor for you?
Well, Matt, I was a gymnast till I was 23. And of course, as a gymnast, not like a tennis player, your life is very shortened in terms of how long you can do your actual sport. And when I ended my sport, it was very difficult for me to find something that was comparable that actually made me feel like that. And of course, I ended because I had an injury. So that kind of hampered a lot of the sports that I could do. And I ended at 23, I ended late. And I ended up taking up running to get that adrenaline and to get that feeling that I needed. And from there, it escalated. The days that I didn't train and the days that I didn't work in the gym or whatever I was doing, I didn't feel great. I didn't have the energy and the vitality and the better sleep and just that positive energy that you get from actually, going outside or inside, wherever it is that you move your body. So I got addicted to not what things look like, but for what things felt like.
Wow. That's really amazing. So the injury was when you were 23.
Yeah.
So when did you start though? Like at what age did you begin like with the gymnastics?
Well, I was 2. Yeah.
Okay, so you have no recollection of starting?
No, I don't. I know where it was. It was at the Y in Toronto. I'm from Toronto, I'm from Canada. So I do know exactly where it was. And I do know that my love for gymnastics, I tried all sports. My mom was one of those moms that threw us in everything and then let us decide what we wanted to do. So that was really nice. And I chose gymnastics, and that's where I really concentrated everything. I mean, I took off 2 years of university to actually train on the provincial team. And when I finally made the team, it took me till I was 19 to make the provincial team. I was never good enough, but I never gave up. And then finally at 19, I had this acute body awareness all of a sudden. I'm like, where did that come from? We were listening to Milli Vanilli, Milli Vanilli. And we were just playing around. Because I coached for years. And so we were listening to Milli Vanilli, and I all of a sudden pulled off a full twist. I'm like, where did that come from? And then my coach for the provincial team said, Linz, come here for a second, right? And we were both coaching together, and I was 19, she was maybe like, I don't want to say 20, 25. And she said, can you do, you know, I played on the bar. She goes, can you do this? All of a sudden, all these moves started happening. She said, do this with your body. This, and I had not practiced like in terms of competing for a couple of years there. So for me, what ended up happening was I didn't know I had this acute body awareness. So from 19 to 23, which is when people quit, like when you're done with gymnastics, unless you're going on a university team, was when I actually started becoming a really good gymnast, really good for me. I wasn't one of those on DC on, my daughter was phenomenal. So I wasn't one of those people that you could actually see on television. For me, I was good. And I was so passionate about it that I actually, to my parents' demise, took off a year of university and then the second year as well to actually just meet my goals that I had when I was 14. It took me that long to get it, but when I got it, it was priceless. And even when I got my injury, I have this war wound and I look at it and I thought, yes, it was such a terrible injury for me because it stopped my career and it stopped me from walking for what I think it was 90 days, like just over 3 months. And I became this little skinny thing. And I was always this muscular little bodybuilder looking thing. And I have to tell you that I look at that injury to this day and I say, that's a war wound. That's a wound that makes me feel proud and brings back all of these amazing accomplishments. And it's a huge scar in my leg. You think as a woman, you wouldn't want that. I am happy that thing is there to remind me of something that I was capable of doing. Yeah, it is.
The badge of honor. So I'm hearing, like, when you and I spoke yesterday, I heard the passion in your voice. I mean, it's coming through the screen right now, right? So, I mean, I guess you could have been put into anything when you were 2 years old, but you were put into gymnastics and you became an athlete. It doesn't mean you're going to love it though, right? You could have been doing it for other people. You could have been doing it because your parents wanted you to, or because it was expected. You actually love being an athlete, right? And you love nutrition and you love this whole lifestyle. Do you remember at that age that it was, aside from the adrenaline rush that you love, was it like, because going to the gym, I mean, people don't love that. People don't love the commitment. They don't love the discipline. They don't love the mindset. It sounds like you do. And you always have.
Well, no, that's not true. I like the sports. I don't like going to the gym. I have to be honest. I am not a gym person. For me, what I like to do is I train people to get that feeling of crossing over a finish line. You don't get that anymore as an adult. You don't get to be put in and get a ribbon for something. No, you really don't get any of that when you don't get to compete. I mean, you get to compete against yourself, but and that's what I do. When I train for a marathon, the competition is not me beating Sally or Joe, is me actually finishing this stinking thing, right? It really is.
You're competing against yourself.
Against yourself. And you know, you don't get an opportunity as an adult to do that. So for me to take someone to the gym and just work their body, I am not into that at all. For me, as a trainer and as the person that actually does this, there's a purpose for the end of it. It's either I'm crossing a finish line or I'm doing it just to get that energy. The training for anything and taking care of yourself on both a nutritional level and on an exercise level, it actually creates this character trait about you that trickles down into every area of your life. And this character trait is amazing because it's when you start taking care of yourself, it's the ultimate form of self-respect, right? So it breeds this character, and that character goes into your work life, your relationships, your as a parent, your happiness. It goes into everything, and it breeds again a sense of confidence. And that confidence is what makes us capable mentally and able to experience more in life, to step outside of our zones and to give us this energy and this no fear to try new things and to be at a higher level as a person and to expose yourself more because you're confident more, and it changes your life. And that is what I'm addicted to. It's not going to the gym and what you see in the mirror. That is secondary, and that's tertiary. If not, you know, all of those other things it breeds is amazing. It's amazing. And you don't get that feeling until you go through the steps that I call to that transformational period. You have to get to the point where there's no way you're not going through this. And then you start feeling all this. And then you're the shift from what things look like all of a sudden goes to what things feel like. And what you look like is a crazy added bonus. Make sense?
Makes sense. I'm mesmerized. That's some powerful stuff. That is some powerful stuff. You know, I'm not sure. We didn't talk about this. So I'm going to share a story with you and you may be like, no, I can't relate to it. But I'm curious because I've found that in my life and in my experience. I've been a gym rat since I was like 12 years old. But when I was 12 and a half, I read a book by Schwarzenegger, Pumping Iron, like the book that was like the one main book he wrote. And at that time, for me, I had some traumatic things happen in my life, so I was looking for just something to kind of throw myself into. I read the book, I got like into it, and all of a sudden I started going to the gym 5-6 days a week for 2 hours a day, 13 years old. And I never stopped. And it was like a craze, and it became a lifestyle, and I love it. And everything you just described about the way it builds confidence and the way you feel, the mindset, the way you look, all of it, it was like a choice of mine, but it started out as an outlet to get away from something else. Is that in any way something you relate to, or is that just, because I'm always curious when you get so into fitness, and because it's an addictive thing, what pushes you there? Like what keeps you there? So for me, there's this
I don't think,
thing.
yes, I don't think, Matt, that I think a lot of people find a stress relief, like you said, you have, maybe it was something negative, and then you went there to, it really is that release that you get from running. Like, for example, I had something happen to me last night that I was very disturbed by. My gut instinct was to go running to let it out. So I think once you learn that that is a outlet for a built up stress that is sometimes uncomfortable, really uncomfortable, and you can get that outlet and then be able to deal, it de-stresses you. It also releases, even weightlifting, it releases a lot of serotonin and endorphins, and it really overshadows that negativity that you got. So I think that you made a choice out of luck, and then you stuck to it out of the mere fact that you got such a wonderful bodily response from it.
Yeah, it's like you get a high from it. I really, to this
No,
day,
absolutely.
I do, like, to this day, I do. So that's like a perfect segue. There are a lot of people out there who have the thought of wanting to transform their body, whether it's physically or visually, or just improve their health, the mindset, or all of those connected mindset, the heart set, the health set, all of that. What's the first step? Like for somebody who's got the thought, but maybe they procrastinate, maybe it's something new. How do they get started?
So I always believe the first place to start with self-respect is nutrition, nutrition and moving. If you're not moving, I would say the first step for someone, it depends on where they're actually at, but if they weren't doing anything, I think that they have to understand that there's going to be sacrifices, and there's pain associated with the sacrifices, like waking up early, like paying a little more money for organic food, for better food, which is key. And we can talk about that all day. Being sore, taking away from time that they don't want to do something like this. So there's several pains that they're going to experience from the sacrifices. If they can just hang on, this is my best advice. If you can just hang on, I can promise you two things. The pain that you experience from the sacrifices you have to do from starting a healthy lifestyle with diet and with exercise will so quickly, Matt, be replaced by something. It is so insanely beautiful that until you experience it, you can't. People are so settled for mediocrity. They settle for not feeling badly instead of knowing the difference and giving themselves the opportunity to get past all those sacrifices and the pain, and so to actually see what happens to a person that gets a little bit addicted to this, and then they understand why. Until you're that person, you don't get it. It's people that see these people in the streets that are runners, or the people that are addicted to CrossFit. You see these people, they are like bouncing off the walls, and you're like, what the heck? What is wrong with these people? They're always happy, whether it's fake or it's phony, or they're this, or they're taking some, whatever you think. It's not the case. The case is they got past that threshold and they experience like you're plugged into the universe. I have no better, I call it ridiculously alive. That's my coin phrase. You feel ridiculously alive, and it's not settling for mediocrity. So if you can hang on that long, so the first promise is that if you hang on, you will get to that reach, right? But now the second promise is if you let go and you don't wait that long, the pain that you experience from never starting is going to escalate and last forever. When people understand this concept, that's in the form of diseases, diabetes, heart disease, depression, anxiety, all the things that develop that when you don't move your body, you don't treat yourself well. This is all you have. When you have self-respect, people don't understand that this is your gateway. This is your key to being everything you want to be. It's not about looking like it's to being everything you want to be. You have such an understanding that you are capable of anything when you start taking care of yourself. And there's no limits. There's no limits. You just go, go, and go, because you know that you are capable. And that's what I would tell people. You've got to pump somebody up to understand that this is real. Look at the people around you that are addicted. They're not addicted to what they look like. It's so deep, much deeper than that. It's addicted to life, to being plugged in and to being alive. I don't know how better to describe that, but when you're around somebody, I always say, find somebody that motivates you. Find a friend that's motivating. Find a friend that's got a little more oomph to start. And always start, Matt, with something that you enjoy, even if it's pole dancing. Start with something that you love, and make it fun. It doesn't have to be this gym rat thing. It doesn't have to be that. Some people love. My son loves that, right? For me, I would prefer not to have it like that. I prefer to be doing something that actually I have fun doing, and pole dancing is one of them. It's fun. I got it, but I prefer to run. I prefer to do the things that are associated with fun, and people don't do that with fitness.
You just said a few things that for me, it connected a lot of things together. You talked about, like, I'm hearing you talk about mindset, like the way that you feel is the outcome of everything that you just said. You're doing all these things. It's creating a feeling. It's an awesome energy. And it really is, like, it's unbelievable to walk around seeing and feeling things from that just very bright perspective. But it's funny, when you talked about building confidence before, if somebody wants to do something, they want to get healthy, they want to get fit, and they can't take the first step because something's in their way, that inherently can cause what you said. It's like they're disappointing themselves because they have an idea, they want to do something, but because they can't do it, they end up feeling like shit about themselves, right? So it's still like, sometimes that first step, people just can't. People like you and I, we'll just say, oh, I want to do something, and we just go do it. It's not typical. I mean, most people really have to think about something, and then maybe it's a struggle, and then staying with it, being committed, being disciplined, not giving up. Maybe after 30, 60 days, you don't see a result, people give up. And it's like, you kind of touched on all that, but transformation's a mindset, isn't it?
Yes. Okay. So you touched on many things that I want to say. I wanted to interrupt you so badly, and I didn't. Okay. So I have to tell you that, yes, it's and I do know a lot of people that there's so many things that you can do with that. Number one, the first thing I want to say, which is so key, and it needs to be thought when I say this, or thought about, is that people should not wait for things to be perfect to get happy. Things get better.
That's never going to happen. There is no perfect. That time doesn't exist.
Right, but people do. They say, oh, when this is this, I'll do that. And if they were just dive in and don't worry about the how. When I first produced my first TV show, it was a passion of mine for years. Like, I'm talking when I was really young. I said, this is what I want to do. I want to do the TV thing. I want to produce. I want to affect as many people as I can with the information that I've learned from school, and apply it in a manner that I can really affect more lives than I'm affecting now. And I've always wanted to do it. And when I did it, I had no idea how I was going to do it. I had no idea how I was going to get sponsors. I just said, that's it. I hired the people that I needed to do. They came in, they believed in my thing. I made a good platform in terms of what I needed to get this done. And I had no idea how it was going to happen. And everything fell. I mean, the universe worked amazing. Things were not perfect. They were not perfect. I had no knowledge. I had nothing, zero, and I just,
you did it.
I did it, and I did it more than once. And then if you take that step and doing something that you're not so certain with, but you go ahead and do it anyway, there's no such thing as failure. There's learning, and there's gaining and winning. There's no such thing as failure. Failures are amazing if you look at them in a different way. That's how you get by in life. That's what makes us who we are. That's what makes us learn and move forward and not do the same thing. Or it's just phenomenal. So
I'm going to interrupt you now. I have to, because you said something. Failure is nothing but an opportunity. That's all it is. If you recognize it as an opportunity, that's exactly what it is. And everybody who's built a business, everybody who's built anything, anybody who's built a body, anybody who's gotten healthy, fit, it doesn't matter what it is. You've fallen on your face. You've had days where you didn't feel like getting up, and you go down the list of all that shit that you just don't want to do. And if you don't learn from that, and if you don't actually see it as an opportunity, I'm not going to say what it was. We had a great conversation before, and I said to you, well, what's happened is an opportunity, right? You learn a lot. It's an opportunity. And thank God it was a tiny little failure, but it's going to lead to a huge opportunity, because you and I are going to do something together that's going to make you a lot of money.
Please
Right?
don't. Thank you. Yeah, we think it's what's so interesting about that is, I mean, I definitely feel ADD right now because there's so many things that you're saying I want to extract and say something to add to it to help everybody. But I completely agree with you. And I think that, I know what I was going to say. What's really interesting about this is that people need to understand that we as human beings have the opportunity to choose what we perceive in any given situation. Most people choose the very worst.
Yes.
Most people choose. So like, I'm going to flat out say it. Somebody stole something from you. This is the best way to put it. And I was so upset last night and tell my daughter, who I have told this countless times before. My daughter said, "Mom, what's wrong?" And I had told her what happened. And I was devastated because it was something big for me that it took me a while to get. And she said to me, put her hand on my head. It makes me cry, actually. She said, "Mom, why don't you think of it as the person that stole it needed that for their sick kid?" Now, who knows why they stole this from me, but I don't know why either. So why don't I choose something that actually works for me? So I feel like maybe I did a good deed. I don't know. It changes the paradigm. It changes how I feel. It bounces it off me instead of internalizing it. And we have the right as a human, not the right, we have the opportunity and the power to stay in control always, and the power to perceive our lives any way we want, except for death and taxes. That's it, but you can also, this works in reverse. People have developed character traits from someone, say, calling them stupid, or something that someone, when you're younger, not old enough or mature enough to understand that person may have dumbed you down for whatever reason because they were insecure and maybe envious for whatever reason. And they've carried this weight of feeling like shit. Am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to say the word shit?
You can say shit if you want. I don't give a shit.
Okay, thanks. Okay, carrying this crap, this poop around as a human being for years, and it's manifested into characteristic traits that maybe make you shy, maybe make you not trust yourself, maybe make you a person that doesn't believe anymore in people, or whatever it is that it manifested into. You can actually go back in time and find out where that was. Somebody called you stupid along the way, like you're dumb, and then you look at that person, you say, wait a second, you can revisit this with more experience in your heart and in your life and see, like, perhaps this person said this because of that, and then give a different meaning to it. And all of a sudden you feel different. We have the power to do this. And it's a must do at every second, at every opportunity. When someone cuts you off on the road, you're like, look, ask you this, and I can't believe they just did that. And you know what? Instead say, wow, maybe they're rushing their wife, they're having a baby. Maybe they're rushing because they need, it changes everything. It makes you a giver.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot right there. First of all, just take it one step further. And that's about being grateful. And when you're in a constant, it's not easy to do because life impacts it, right? But when you're just in a constant state of gratefulness, that vibration is always there. And so you are going to attract people into your life that are of a similar vibration. You're going to tend to repel people who aren't. If you're a happy, upbeat, grateful, giving person, odds are people who aren't like that are going to kind of be repelled because you being like that makes them uncomfortable because it's not who they are. So it does come to who you surround yourself with. But there was something when you were talking that I was thinking about. There's a chiropractor I go to in New Jersey, and he has on a wall a picture, and all it is 4 words. And I'm not sure if I'm going to get this right. Your beliefs, everything starts with your beliefs, and your beliefs come from whatever, as a kid, whatever was drilled into your head at home or at school, whatever you believe is unique to you. So your beliefs create your thoughts. That's where your thoughts come from. And then your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings or your emotions, they create your actions. So
and your reality.
And that is your reality. So your beliefs are your reality. So everything you just said is a choice, unless you legitimately have a problem where you don't have control of your thinking. So you have control of your thoughts. Everybody does. It may be difficult because your beliefs may be distorted, or they may be whatever the heck they are. But if you're not, the first indication that you have a false belief is a feeling of anger, of jealousy, of anything that's like not that's a negative vibration. You're driving in a car, you get angry at somebody for cutting you off. I personally don't. I hit the brake and let them get in because I want to be nice. If I see them, they're going to cut me off. Don't bother. Here, I'll let you right in. I don't want to be angry, but that's a choice. So I'm just backing up what you were saying.
Everything is a choice. Everything's a choice.
All a choice. And if you happen to be somebody, so let's bring it back to fitness. If you happen to be somebody who has a set of beliefs that I can't do this, or this is going to be too hard, or I'm not committed, or I can't get up every day, or I work all day and I don't want to go to the gym 8 o'clock at night, or I don't want to watch what I eat. It doesn't matter. If you want the outcome to be different than what it is right now, you have to change your belief. So you start with surrounding yourself with better people, like you kind of alluded to. You start with changing your thinking so that you have a transformational thought process, right? So that puts into action a series of like events where, okay, now I'm going to create momentum. Now I'm going to do something. Like I'm actually going to put things in place that are going to result in action. And I'm leading up to something. Underneath all of that is inspiration and purpose. So what is it that inspires you, and what is your purpose? So I can say, well, I can make it obvious. I want to be here for my children. I don't want to be unhealthy. I don't want to be unfit. I don't want to have a heart attack. So there's like that high level. Then there's the level of, I want to be able to provide the company that I have, make sure that my employees have a place to work. And I can bring it all the way down to what you said before. I just want to feel good. Like there's multiple levels of purpose. So when you set your mind and you get your mind straight, is it really that hard to get healthy? No, it's really not, you know?
And also understanding that it does become an addiction. It's one of the greatest addictions of all time when it's not for your weight. You know, it is the key to, in my opinion, it's the key to enjoying your life. 100% the key. It's the foundation. You know, everybody knows so much about the business that they're in. You could be a billionaire, and when you ask somebody what their gallbladder does, they have no clue. You know, it's like this is you. It's amazing, and people don't take care of the reason you're able to generate money, the reason you're able to own a boat, the reason you're able to whatever it is that you're doing, have a job, is because you're functioning. And take one person that is functioning at a high level and give them some, God forbid, a disease. And that doesn't matter anymore. All that matters is getting themselves better.
So true.
So
true.
It's a matter of priorities, and a matter of, if they say, oh, my job, I have no time. Well, you know, you can go to the morbid side of it and say, well, you know what, you what you always, I don't want to go morbid. Okay. I want to be Debbie. I don't want to be wah-wah. So
no Debbie Downer. It's not the Debbie Downer show.
Right. You always want to do something that is not mandated upon you, rather than if you work out in a gym because you like it and you gain, is a whole different thing than doctor saying you're going to die if you don't go train. You're going to hate it. You know, so you want to just, there's so many different ways to look at it, but you want to do something before you have to do it. It's always a better place to start. And if you always know, if you're around people that you see that are high all the time and they're not really, people ask me, are you on Adderall? I'm like, what? What?
No,
my kids
never take Adderall. Okay.
No, God forbid.
Don't take Adderall.
My kids ask me, are you on Adderall? I'm like, what the heck? Adderall is not something good. You want to be on a speed. I'm like, no. I'm like, why is this? Because why are you like this? I'm like, stop. And then my daughter became a gymnast. My son became a major weightlifter, and they have a little more energy to understand what I'm talking about. So it's what they're seeing in life. It is difficult for some people to start. And that's why they need a partner. Circling right back, they need somebody who doesn't feel that way. They need to do something that they actually enjoy. And if they do work from blah, blah, blah to blah, 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 which I get, then incorporate it during the day and start with diet. Because when you start with diet, you start seeing, you need something to start the momentum. If you start with diet, which is very easy to do, especially the kind of dieting that I do, meaning creating a lifestyle and getting all those alternatives, so you don't have to give up your cookies, your cakes, your chocolates. There's so many alternatives. The industry's finally caught up with us that I would give to a baby that don't, raise your glucose levels so high that you can't burn fat. So all these alternatives and all these things that you can do, when you start seeing a little bit, it kind of motivates you. So and then you got to kind of set, right. And you also have to set really small goals. Most people make the very, very largest mistake, in my opinion, of saying New Year's Eve comes, I got a New Year's resolution. They're going to say, you know what? I am going to work out every day of the week. And they do it for like a month and like, holy crap, I can't keep up. right? Commit to 2 days a week. If you get the third, tell yourself you're amazing. Wow.
Right.
You know, and then and then anything you do is an added bonus. Don't set yourself up for failure right from the get-go, because that's where people make the mistake. You don't need to go every day. You don't need to do that. But, you know, eventually you're going to want to do more than two days a week. Maybe it's 3 days a week you want to commit to. And then eventually you let it just happen organically. But when you overcommit yourself, you set yourself up for failure. And of course you're going to feel bad. That's the same thing when you set yourself up with a diet. You say, okay, I'm going to go on this diet. I'm going to be restrictive. I'm going to lose this weight. And then all of a sudden your friends are all eating pizza and cookies and chocolate. And you're like, oh my God, I have to have it, right? And you eat it and you're like, forget it. I'm going to start again on Monday. And that was Friday night. And then Saturday morning, you're like, what can I eat? I'm going on a diet on Monday, and you're binge eating for 2 days. And that cycle continues, which is really not conducive to losing weight loss. And most importantly, for your psyche, you're telling yourself you failed every time you do that.
Every time, and you beat yourself up. I want to take what you just said, and I want to like take it somewhere interesting. So rather than go on like a diet, living life in a healthy way, and living life where you're eating healthy, and your mindset and your lifestyle are just that you're on like a diet that's healthy, you never have to really go on a diet.
No, you shouldn't be on a diet. You shouldn't be on anything. You should be on life and on your passion and on your purpose. Yeah.
So you have people that do, I'll use myself as an example. I told you a couple of days ago that I randomly gained 6 or 7 pounds out of the blue, and it's all in one little spot. And that's why I want to hear about how to get a 6-pack at the end of this. But so I do intermittent fasting. I've been doing it for years. I love it because I love the way it feels. I don't do it to lose weight. I do it because I actually feel amazing when I'm only eating 6 hours a day. I had the unintended consequence over the years of little by little by little, my body fat was dropping, but it wasn't a diet. But in that 6 hours, I can honestly tell you that I would randomly eat different things. There was no set, probably correct, like you mentioned to me yesterday, macros and macronutrients. Like I would just eat whatever. I eat a bunch of eggs, a bunch of this, a bunch of that. It does matter that you have a good, healthy, well-rounded diet. Low carb, some people go on low carb, some people go on Atkins. Like, is there just like one normal way you could just be and have confidence that, hey, this is a good way to live?
So yes, this is Linzi's way though. So I think that there would be probably several schools of thought on this. I go with pure, something you could do for the rest of your life, right? So in my educated opinion, I fully believe in, and I live by this rule, that if you eat crappy most of the time and occasionally you eat well, like for example, if you eat crappy and then you have a salad on a Wednesday and a Friday, Matt, does that make you healthy or do anything? That's it?
Of course not.
Of course not, right? Well, the same thing is true. If you eat well most of the time and occasionally you eat like shit, that does nothing either. It's just don't go on your scale in the morning, because you will have gained weight from the sodium and you will have a shit fit when you look at your scale, and then you defeat the purpose of doing that. All you have to do is go right back to eating the next meal you have, eating really well. So if your friends, like that example I gave you, people on a diet, they diet, oh my God, it's so good, been so restrictive, they struggle, they feel good. And then Friday night they go for with their friends, and then all of a sudden they have no willpower left. They say, I'm going to break it. They binge eat until Monday, tell themselves they're a failure. Then they go back on something, yo. And with a lifestyle, what ends up happening is that person allows themselves without, person allows themselves without thought to say, you know, I'm going to have pizza, I'm going to have that ice cream, I'm going to have that Coke, right? And the next day they eat normal again, and it is zero. It doesn't change anything. Okay. And they're happy. They know right. These people that weigh, oh my God, I weigh 4 pounds more. You know, they flip out, especially women. We all do it. I know I'm one of them that used to do that. And when you do that, first of all, toss your scale. That's a whole nother topic. But when you live your life with that rule, that really helps. Now, as far as carbohydrates and a low carbohydrate diet and a intermittent fasting, I do a combination of both, to be honest with you. And then if I'm at a French restaurant and I get that fresh loaf of bread, I am down in that thing. Okay. But as far as low carb diet does not mean no carbohydrates. It does not mean keto. I'm talking low carbohydrates where your carbohydrates aren't skyrocketing, so your glucose levels aren't skyrocketing, so that fat storing hormone insulin cannot come in and store the excess glucose that you're not using. So those type of nutrients or lack thereof, like a simple carbohydrate, which is so many people eat at night, which really screws up their weight loss. They're not on a long chain of carbohydrates. When you have a simple carbohydrates, like anything white, like white bread, white rice, pretzels, popcorn, cookies, muffins, croissants, all that stuff, right? Even wheat bread, those are not on a long chain. Like picture a pearl necklace on a chain, right? And then those are freestanding. The pearl necklace, each bead stands for a glucose molecule. When you have something that's more complex, that has fiber and it's got density, like Ezekiel bread, like hulled rice, like rice that has the hull on it, like fruits and vegetables, like broccoli, things like that, that are carbohydrates, by the way. When they have when that long chain comes into play, your body has to liberate each one of those glucose molecules. It has to break that chemical bond, that string that's holding up that string together. So you get, every time it breaks it, you get a little bit of energy. It breaks a little bit of energy. That's why it's called sustained energy. When you have something like cakes, cookies, muffins, popcorn, and pretzels, all those things that are white and simple, unprocessed, empty calories, you're getting that all those glucose molecules, all those little pearls, without, they're not on a chain. They're already in a pre-digested state prior to even putting them in your mouth. You swallow them and you're flushed with all of it. Your body does not have to digest. It does no work, which is why you crave it at night. Your body knows, I don't want to work anymore. Give me something like this. Your body knows that innately. It's so smart. And you have that, all of a sudden you get this rush of glucose, insulin comes in, and you're not using that. If you're not running a marathon, that you should not, that's why macro placement, you should not be having that. If you're not running after that, if you're not using that for a good HIIT workout, then those are the places you can have it, even though they're bad for you, but it does give you instant energy without your body doing anything to it. So you know that all your energy is going to working out and you're going to get like optimum performance, right? So with optimal performance, that's the only way to do it. I tell my tennis players all the time, that's part of the diet. It's not the healthiest diet, but it does give them optimum performance. So we want that for certain athletes. But if you're not using that and you shoved all of these glucose molecules that are not on a chain, they're simple, you're flooded with insulin. And in the presence of insulin, you can't burn fat. And that lasts for a while. And that's how you gain weight. People say, oh, my calories are low. You know, I don't go calorie for calorie. I go for macronutrient. What is your body doing with that? You're going to eat a bowl of cereal for breakfast. That's Captain Crunch. I like Captain Crunch, but I would never eat it. Like Captain Crunch or something that's that simple. And you eat that. And if you're sitting at your desk with that, that is getting stored immediately. So those 300 calories are totally different than the 300 calorie protein bar, because that's lasting and you're using it, and you end up eating less calories, because I guarantee you in 2 hours, if you had that bowl of cereal, you are starving.
You're starving and you're irritable.
Right. And take that same amount of calories and with an Ezekiel, a piece of toast with an egg on top, for example, or an avocado, you're not hungry for another 5 hours. You don't even know you're hungry.
Can I tell you something?
Steady.
No, just to what you were saying. At 12 o'clock today, I ate. I hadn't eaten since I think 6 o'clock yesterday. Mm-hmm. I had 1 whole egg, 5 egg whites, and a piece of Ezekiel bread. I'm still full. It's almost 3 o'clock. Like I'm good till 7 o'clock. Yeah. You know, and a lot of water.
Right. So the Ezekiel bread it's sprouted wheat. It's not that dry. All wheat causes inflammation. Every single one of your cells. It should be taken off the market. You will hear about it maybe in a decade from now, but it's just not a good thing.
Wait, go back to the insulin too, because it's so powerful. You just revealed so bottom line is don't snack, right? Because every time you eat something that's in between those planned meals, you're releasing insulin and you're potentially storing fat, right?
No. Bottom line is don't snack on simple. No, because not snacking is not realistic. So for example, if you have a protein snack, like a protein during that witching hour at 3 o'clock, right? People have that witching hour. A protein shake is so perfect for that, because again, your body has to break down. Do I have this thing here? Let me show you this. It's always good with a visual, right? Your body has to, check this out. This is a long chain of lipids, which means this is a fat. This is also a long chain of a simple carbohydrate, okay? I mean a complex carbohydrate, which is, these would be glucose molecules on a chain, the chain, right? And this is also a protein. This is also a protein molecule, right? With each one amino acids, right? But if you want to have a simple carbohydrate, this is what it looks like. All these beads they're off the chain. You see them? They're off the chain. So when you digest when you digest proteins or which again are amino acid chained, or complex carbohydrates, which are glucose on a chain, or when you digest any fats, which is lipids on a chain, your body has to liberate each one of these, each one, and it takes time. So the reason you're full is because it actually has to liberate each one.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Okay. And so
Yeah,
you're getting a steady, there's no blood, there's no raise in your glucose levels. It's steady. And that's what promotes fat burning, right? That's the only way you can burn fat. So if you want a snack, have a snack that's one of these, comprised of fat, not too much fat. You don't have too much fat. You want to have good fat, but protein, fat, complex carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates when you're going to use them. Fats and protein are great if you're hungry at night. So for example, anybody has a sweet tooth and you're desperate for like a piece of cake or something at night, but most people do have. The reason people have this sweet tooth at night and this need for popcorn and pretzels and all of these white things that they have at night is because, again, if you saw it, they were molecules that are no longer on a chain. Your body innately knows that it's instant energy. It no longer has to work and you're tired. So sleep is so important if you want to lose weight, because if you're not tired, you're not going to crave. You're not going to crave. But if you can see, these things are called smart cakes. This is just one of so many examples. I have a store that I put these in.
Hold it back into a little bit.
Let me do this. Wait, watch this. Well, it's going to be backwards.
Wow. What is it? 38.
Okay, so it's 38 calories, 0 sugars, 0 starches, 5 grams of fiber, and 4 grams of protein. So this is like gold. If I said to you, close your eyes, I want you to taste this muffin, because sweetened with erythritol, it's got like 5 ingredients, or maybe it's got a little bit more than 5, but everything is insane. You would never know in a million years that you were not eating a sweet, delicious, mushy muffin. It's ridiculous.
You can do that before you go to bed. You could do that at night or whatever.
Yep, absolutely. It just, I would prefer that you have them, I would prefer you go to bed in a little bit more of an empty stomach, and will it raise your glucose ever so slightly, but not enough to cause a problem. So this is the thing, you want to keep your glucose levels steady. Most people have these simple carbohydrates at night, not understanding that there's alternatives, number one, but number two, most importantly, that when you have them at night, you raise your glucose levels, which raises your insulin levels, and it stops the fat burning process. And you go to bed like that. And at night is when most of the fat burning takes place. So choose a different snack. You don't have to not snack. That's not realistic, right? You just have to choose the proper snack where your macros are there.
I feel so much better knowing that.
It's good.
So it's not that you shouldn't snack. It's that when you snack, be careful, do it smart or smartly, if that's a word. And stay away from the pretzels and the chips and all the obvious things we know you should not eat, and go for things like what you just showed us. And there's probably, we're going to put at the end of this your information down below, but you probably have a plethora of information you can give people if they contacted you, and diets and ideas. So we're definitely going to put that down below. I want to ask you a few more things before we wrap this up. You already touched on don't get on the scales. So I did want to talk with you about weight loss versus fat loss, but I think you already touched on it. Fat loss is what matters. The weight is less important.
Well, see, this is a woman's problem. Some men too. My generation, and I'm 53, my generation is very scale oriented, because that's what we knew. Weight was weight, and you want to see that number go down. And as we got a little more knowledge, when science progressed, and it's always progressing, we understood that muscle is not only more dense, it's also more compact. So when you actually are trying to lose weight and you're doing it by way of exercise and nutrition, you may find that your weight changes very little, but your size changes a lot. Again, because muscle is more dense and muscle takes up less space in your body. So the same 1 pound of muscle may look like this, and 1 pound of fat may look like that. Right? It's almost 2.5 times, I think it is, almost 2 times. I can't remember the exact number, but the density and the weight. Pardon me?
Fat is 2 times the weight of muscle?
No, a pound of muscle is equal to a pound of fat. It's the size. This is a pound of muscle. This is a pound of fat. So it takes up less space, and muscle takes up less space in your body. Right. So if you take a person who is very muscular and weighs 100 pounds, and then you take a person that has 0 muscle and weighs 100 pounds, I can guarantee you there's like 5 size differences in a person at least, because muscle is so much smaller than fat
Right.
when it's the same weight.
Right,
So
right.
you can take a person
Really?
who's 125 pounds in a size 2 and then put a person who's 125 pounds in a size 8. I mean, it really is that there's that much difference. And so when you're trying to lose weight and you're doing it with exercise, understand that muscle mass, if it's dense and you're trying to create dense muscle mass, which you must do after 40, what ends up happening is that is your fat burning machine. So that's the way you want to lose the weight. That's what you want to do. And if you're doing it correctly, you really have to not pay attention to the scale in terms of the weight of your body. But you need to take a look at the composition of your body. How much fat do you have versus what the scale says? Because you want to look at how much muscle mass you have. Are you gaining muscle mass? That's how you gauge a workout. Okay. Are you actually getting your fat percentage to drop? That's an amazing way to gauge if you're going to get smaller and if you're going to get leaner, lean and muscular. That's and to weigh yourself is completely, it's irrelevant. It's an irrelevant number. It's arbitrary. It means absolutely
everybody
nothing.
Throw your scales out. That's it.
That's like, I always say, chuck it, but you can get a body composition scale, and that's the number you need to look at. But it's now there is a time to have a scale. For example, if you are not going to lose the weight through exercise and you're just going to go through nutrition, right? Which is it depends on your age. Okay. But it's a longer haul. It's very easy for men to do this, by the way, very easy for men to do this, with enough testosterone, not meaning you add to it, but when they're younger, then that's when you could look at a number. But most people, if they want to get healthy and not just thin, should do both ways. So I try not to preach the other one, because I prefer, in anything, any kind of practice that I do, my end result, even if your end result wants to be a smaller person, my end result is for you to be a better person in terms of being happier and healthier. That's always going to be mine. So
yeah.
Does that make sense?
It makes sense. You made me think of something else, right? So, okay, so we're going to throw our scales out and we're going to buy ones that are body composition scales. And when we when we work out, cardio or HIIT training or weight training or all three?
I always think you should mix things up. It really depends on what your goals are. I'm a firm believer in body weight training. That's what Body on Fire Fitness is about. It's using your own body weight, because you lift far more weight using your own body weight than you would in the gym and isolating. And also it makes more muscle groups work together at the same time. They're simultaneously working, so your workout is more efficient. Number 2. Number 3, it's functional. So if you're using your body weight and your core has to engage to do something, that's how you move. As you age, that's how you want to train. And I shred people like this. It's a gymnastics way and a wrestling way of training. Really, wrestlers do lift, but their initial way is that isometric, or that body weight lifting, which how I'm strength and conditioning coach for a gymnastics team for so many years. That's just what we do, and it just really works. HIIT is wonderful. It does so many amazing things. It's amazing to lower your heart rate in general. It's amazing for getting that what they call it orange theory, is getting into the orange zone, getting high enough that after your workout is complete, you've been in that orange zone, and then you stay fat burning for a while. So that's a really amazing bonus. It gets rid of visceral fat, which is fat between your organs. So it's a wonderful things that people say that it increases your HG, your growth hormone, which in turn also helps you lose weight. There's so many benefits to HIIT training. It's wonderful. Cardio, I would never in my life give up. There's such a bad rap on cardio right now through Instagram. If you can see, if you're doing cardio, just turn it off, because exercise is not only about what you look like. It's not. It's the gains you get from cardio are immeasurable. That feeling of it gets rid of anxiety, gets rid of depression, it gets rid of weight. It does get rid of weight. It is phenomenal for being happy. Gosh, in the end, isn't all this about being happy? In the end,
you got me so motivated. Unbelievable. I'm going to the gym right now.
Don't leave. But in the end, that is what this is about. So all these things about getting rid of cardio, please don't make your exercise journey only about weight loss. People get depressed on exercise journeys, and they're like, oh my God, I hate this. That's when they're in it for the wrong reasons, right? I haven't hit that moment where you're like, oh, wow, I feel greater. Wow, I don't, finding a basis of comparison, you do it long enough, you get this basis of comparison to know that, wow, I no longer am settling for mediocrity. I feel phenomenal. And when I don't work out, or I don't go running, or I don't get outside, I don't feel good. Getting outside, there's so many benefits, especially if you live in sunny Florida, right? So, I mean, there's vitamin D, and that's synthesized people don't even know this. Your body synthesizes its own vitamin D when you're outside. It combines the ultraviolet rays with your cholesterol, so it lowers your cholesterol. There's so many benefits. And if you live in beautiful sunny Florida, which I'm sure some of you that are listening do, when you go to the beach, you've got negative ions in the air, which gets converted, which creates serotonin in your brain, and serotonin gets converted into melatonin, which helps you sleep. I mean, you just have a plethora of love and light, and just from being outside, so there's so many reasons to take care of yourself and to do this other than weight. So cardio, now, as far as weight training is concerned, is really good for bone density after your age of 40, especially for women that have osteoporosis, or God forbid getting osteoporosis when you go through menopause. That weight training keeps your bone density up, and that also, but there's drawbacks for weight training, which is why I do body weight training. It's just more reps with a lighter weight. And I do use some weights. I just don't go usually past 10 pounds for women on each arm. So 20 pounds. Sometimes they use a weight vest when they're ready for that. But you're talking about
wait, hold on. You don't use weights? Like 10 pounds is it?
In each hand, yeah. And well, when I do, I incorporate a ton of lunge walks.
That's not even possible. 10 pounds.
No, I don't use it. I 5 pound. My arms, 5-pound weights. I never higher ever in my life, ever.
Okay, I mean, if anybody's, so this is something you can listen to, but if you're watching this, that's counterintuitive, because you look at your shoulders, look at your arms, and you don't really lift any actual weight. Like that's,
nope, I haven't lifted weights in over 2 years.
Validation and everything you're saying about the other ways to look at working out, which is how you train people, that you just blew my mind when you just told me you only use 5 pounds.
Yeah, I don't do any of it. I've learned a different way, as a gymnast, learning gymnastics, how they train. We can't lift weights, because when you lift weights, I don't know if you've ever seen those guys that lift weights, you can't put their they lose their flexibility. Your muscles get so tight, you can't extend anything, especially hyperextend and everything, which is what gymnastics needs, right? So to get flexible. So you learn body weight training. And let me tell you something. I wish you could speak to some of my clients in here. They have 6 packs for the first time in their lives. I have one person 2 weeks ago. She sent me a picture, 66 years old, first time she ever had a 6-pack. She has a 6-pack. Doesn't have an 8-pack. This is really 8. Yep, 66. She's just all over my webpage. She's like, oh my God, Lindsay. And she said she's never, and my women in their 40s, right into their early 50s, they have the most insane opportunity to have the best body they have ever had in their lives, better than the 20s, better than the 30s, if they train right and if they eat right. 100% at this day and age.
Hold on. Stop. Hold on. So she's 66. What was her body like before she got to that point, over however long it took you to help her do that?
So I have a program online that she follows. I've never met her. She sends me messages all the time, and she plops in, I've got a 1-pack, Linz, look, I've got a 2-pack, Linz, and she posts them. And now the last 2 weeks ago, she posted a 6-pack. I'm like, what? But she works diligently. A lot of my program is free online, because I'm trying to, do my good deeds, right? So it's free online. It's every day I train with everybody. And it's a program from Monday to Sunday. And what happens is, these people are following it. When you follow it long enough and you listen to my little cues of diet, you start seeing the sides. Now, not everybody genetically can get a 6-pack. It's just not
That's
there for some people.
Okay.
Right. But everybody can really start, even if that lower half is a little harder for some people, everybody can start seeing those that cut by your obliques. I don't have anybody that wants it. I really don't, unless you have some surgery, or unless you have, usually just surgery. All these women have had babies for the most part, and they're finding their 6-packs. I mean, it's dedication, and it's not crazy. It's dedication, and it's knowing what to do that actually works. And it's nice to work with someone who's your age and who's at your stage and has gone through the ringer to find out what works for them. It's always nice to have that, right? And it just works, and it pretty much works for, not everybody, but I'd say good 90% of people that want it. It's easy to get.
All right. you kind of, I think you might have given this answer, but so now I'm 49, almost 49. How do I get a six pack?
You're so funny. Look at you milking it, right? I love it. Okay. So for you, what I would do, I'm going to totally give you, for you, I would need to see what you're eating for 6 days. I'm just going to lay it flat. I need to see what you're eating for 6 days. It's very individualized, but I would say, how do you get a six pack for everybody? That's really not fair. And I'd be giving people false hope. I would have to see what you're currently doing while you're not getting it. So I would see what you were doing. Okay. And some of this is general. And then I would put you on a specific lifestyle that allows you to have what you want with the alternatives to your favorite foods that are messing you up. I place your macros where they needed to be placed. And then I give you some really good exercises that concentrated on your lower body only.
On the handles. Wait, hold on. Explain what macro is.
Hold on a second. You missed out. You concentrate on your lower body only, because your quads and your glutes are your fat burning machines, because those are your largest muscle groups. Concentrate on those and you get layers off and layers. People say, oh, I got to do 1,000 crunches. Yes, you have to do the crunches, because when you get those layers off, you're gonna have the most beautiful gifts on the planet. You're gonna look at it and go, whoa, what was that? Just because you worked your stomach, but you got the layers still. By working your lower half, you boost the daylights out of your metabolism.
Interesting. Okay. But I think that, so I should have framed it differently before, because so assuming we're talking to somebody who's like in decent normal shape, right? It's not somebody who has some serious weight loss to do. If you're just in decent normal shape and you're maybe struggling just to get over that hump, what you just said is definitely really good advice to see, like, oh, I'm in really good shape, but I'm just not seeing it. It's just not breaking through. What you just said would actually break you through, right? More legs, more of the larger muscles, macros. By the way, explain what macros are.
So macronutrients are your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fats. Those are just macronutrients. And proteins are comprised, carbohydrates are comprised of two, right? That's your main source of fuel. And those are your simple and your complex. Wherever you place those is going to dictate if your hormones to burn fat are actually going to do that. So you want to make sure, as we spoke about, having those freestanding glucose molecules, those simple carbohydrates, your cakes, cookies, muffins, breads, all those things, popcorn, pretzels, cakes, where you have those and where you fuel with that is going to dictate whether or not you actually gain weight or lose weight or burn fat. So it's really, really important that you take a look at your diet. Just knowing that, you can do it on your own. Just knowing that, saying, you know what, I love bagels. I love having a bagel in the morning, just a plain bagel. Now, if you put tuna on the bagel, it does churn in your stomach and become a lot more complex. But a lot of people don't do. They just take some bread or whatever it is, or eat a croissant. Yum yum, right? You have that, and then they sit around. Now, if they were like for me, I'll give you my example. I run marathons. I train people to run marathons, right? So I run a marathon with a bagel in my butt. Okay, I eat a bagel before. Maybe the reason I run a marathon. Okay, and I literally will pull out another bagel, because that is instant fuel. That is gas in my tank to move forward. And what's good about that kind of gas is, which is why also intermittent fasting is good, is there's nothing my body has to do to break it up. It's just glucose in my bloodstream. Because it is nothing, that means I can burn that, I can use it. It's my primary source of fuel. Now, given the same situation, I'm sitting on my butt, right? And I have that at night. You're not using it, since your body will die. You can't have that much glucose in there. So insulin comes in, and insulin is a fat storing hormone. So if you know just that simple little tidbit, then you are home free. And fats, for example, those are essential. And fat from our generation has gotten a bad rap because they call fat, and they call this fat. It's not the case. They should have called it lipids and fat, because fat makes your hormones regulated. Without your hormones, you gain weight, right? So, and not only that, fats are your key to weight loss, because they are in charge of hunger control. They're in charge of craving control. People are so afraid of fat, with the right fat and the right amounts, right? The right fats and the right amounts, you can lose it. Now, keto is another thing. I'm not a fan of keto. I'm talking about a lower carbohydrate, because it's The lower carbohydrates actually are anti-inflammatory. Okay, they completely help your body get rid of, it's always water weight you lose at first, but it's water you need to lose, but you always have to stay hydrated. You said you had a lot of water. It's half your body weight in ounces. Okay, for if you're working out, you add 20 more ounces for every half an hour that you work out. Okay, but the point is that with eating all of those fats and proteins in the right spot, you are in the most amazing position not to crave, not to get hungry, and we go hours without eating, leaving that glucose so steady that you actually burn fat. It's really just science, and it's super easy. They have all these crazy diets out there. Oh, take this pill. Oh, have this carb. Oh, eat every 4 hours. Oh, eat every 2 hours. Oh, eat every hour. It's just
endless.
Simple. It's simple.
There's just so much stuff.
You got to break it down to what your body does with it, and when you figure that out, then make your own thing up. Okay, well, I'm gonna have this then. So simple. And choose your own foods. You don't have to have the foods delivered unless you it's easier for you, but you don't have to have food boxed. So you don't have to do that. You don't even need to do that. I don't even portion control. I really don't, other than you don't have too much fat. And I don't do like a weighing. I say palm size amount of protein. That's it,
like
at every meal.
Right?
Yeah, 6 to 8 ounces, sometimes depending on how hungry you are. Yeah,
exactly.
You can't go wrong.
A piece of fish, a piece of steak, that is just the right size.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Definitely. So I need you to do something for me. I need you to summarize give it to me in like 5 steps. Like, it's going to be diet, it's going to be lower body. Like, if you're going to try to get that belly fat off, it's bing, 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 bing. What is it?
Number 1 would be diet. Bring yourself down to a lower carbohydrate diet, right? No carbs after dinner at all. So no major carbs at dinner. Okay. You can have a carb at dinner, maybe a sweet potato with everything. No major carbs after dinner at all. Right. I always say intermittent fasting works phenomenal. Right. So if you want intermittent fast, you can put that one in there. It does work phenomenal if you're doing the right things. Right. And then a heavy concentration on your lower half, meaning lunge walks. If I were to give you an exercise, I'd say lunge walks, do 500, right? Say, start off with attempting to get to 500. When you get to 500, right, every other day, then it takes 12 minutes. Then lunge walking today, grab a set of weights, right? 5 pounds in each hand, start again. Grab a set of weights, 8, start again. If there's one exercise, if you don't have time, if there's one thing that I could tell you that does the trick, that would be it. And running is wonderful. Okay, but if you can combine the 2 together, if I could only give you 2 things to do, that would be it. Now, as far as crunches are concerned and all that's concerned, that is definitely necessary so that you get some definition, but you need the layers off. The first thing is the layers off. The last thing, and I think that should be done during that whole process, would be doing a really good, comprehensive abdominal workout, and where you attack the first, then the first and second, then the first, second, and third, then all the way down to the fourth, and then get your obliques. And you can mix it up however you want to do it, and you keep challenging yourself. And there's so many ways to do that, but those are the steps to getting in. I am having a intensive 10-day program coming up soon for a 6-pack. So it does go through, you live it with me. We just live it together, and I do things like that. So and it really is that simple, by the way. Yeah. So you have to be dedicated to want that. And you don't have to be sacrificial to want that. You don't, because again, the industry's caught up to us. You have to be sacrificial in the way of really little to no simple carbohydrates, and that's how I would sum it up. And it's a lot easier than you think.
I have one other question that came up when you were talking. What alcohol can you incorporate occasionally that would not throw this whole thing off?
Well, I think that you can incorporate any alcohol occasionally if you don't like just wine and tequila. I mean like vodka, not wine. Vodka and tequila are they don't raise your insulin levels. Those are 2, but you got to get really good quality, right? And I say occasionally because keep in mind that it does mess with your liver, right? Especially a hard alcohol like that. So I think that is something that you should have only occasionally, maybe once on the weekend, right? And I personally don't do any hard liquor at all. I only do wine. I'm a wine connoisseur. I happen to really love the taste of wine. I don't do white wine. I do red wine, which is probably the one that has, they both have a lot of calories. I do a Pinot Noir. It's very light, but For me, I like wine tasting around the world. That's what I love to do. But I have that like every 2 weeks. I have like one glass. I'm really messed up on one glass. I'm ridiculous on two, and I'm throwing up on three. So I mean, if you see me dancing on a table, you know it's 2 glasses of wine. Telltale, right? So I'm clothed though. I'm clothed. But for me, I think that is something you could definitely most do realistically every weekend. If you're a drinker that's drinking every night, I think you need to reevaluate and find something that's going to stop you doing that, because that will be detrimental for your life eventually. It may feel great now, but that is a egg waiting to hatch in your body.
That's really good advice. So if somebody were going to go out one day a week and have something that wasn't wine, vodka or tequila are the 2 better ones.
Yeah, clean,
not
really
mixed with any sugary mixes or anything. Just drink it straight.
But people drink vodka on the rocks with maybe some seltzer water or soda water or Perrier, right? That's a very common drink with a squeeze of lemon. That's a clear, clean drink. But keep in mind, your liver has very many functions, including cleaning out your body and helping keeping you alive. So, you don't want to have that every night. Once a weekend, it's going to do nothing. Enjoy yourself, live. Alcohol's great. You don't abuse it. It's wonderful. It's a way to let go. It's nice. You can't be abusive. And you have to remember that it's something that is cumulative. When you feel, I feel good, I don't have hangovers, it's still cumulative. The damage is cumulative. And if you talk about weight loss and talk about just general health, getting that fatty liver, it's devastating. So, find other means of getting yourself happy. Running, working out during the week, and then have fun on the weekends. Have it, of course.
You got it. You definitely have to.
Yeah, listen, I do.
I think you kept your promise, and I think we got some really good information out there today. I am going to put all your information below. I mean, everything, the programs, your company, the way people can find you, the way they can
that's nice.
Contact you, exercise with you, get diets from you. I'm going to put everything down below. Honestly, I hope people reach out to you, and I wish you the most success. And I wish you everything that you want to come true, right? Because I know from talking to you before that you really, really do care about the people that you work with. And knowing that that's actually where you come from, like, I really want you to be successful. And it's funny, we had a conversation before we came on today about, we all want to make money, right? So we were talking about how money finds people when you're not really looking for it. So by you being a grateful person, and by you being a person that genuinely wants to help people, and you're giving away a free program, I know that you do it because you truly want to. So when I say I wish you the most success, it's because I know that you're putting so much out there for people. Like, it naturally should find its way to you. You deserve it. And that's what I mean by that. And so I'm going to do everything I can to help spread your word, because I think that it's really valuable what you do and everything you've said.
Oh, I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. It was really nice. Thank you.
So with that, we are going to wind this down. By the way, I want to do one more show with you. It's going to be a wine show, because now that I know you're a wine connoisseur, we're going to do a whole other show about wine. Okay.
Well, I don't know if I have enough information to share. I just know that I'm going to be drunk by the end of it. It's kind of not fair, right?
We'll do a wine tasting show. So, I like to end these shows by saying something that I think is really appropriate here, because you touched a lot on hard work in different ways and being consistent. And that's really what it comes down to. You have to work hard, be humble, be grateful, and hustle. And if you do that, you'll reach your potential. And that's really what it comes down to. It doesn't matter what you're doing.
Can I add to that?
You absolutely can.
I don't think until you work hard, you don't have appreciation for it. Things that are hard to get and you achieve them is the most insane appreciation and a confidence level that allows you to do the next thing that you never deemed possible.
It's really powerful. It is. It's really, really powerful. We're going to do another show. There's a lot more we can talk about.
Amazing.
Okay. Listen,
thank you, Matt, for having me. This was beautiful. I'm very grateful.
Really, your energy it's like ridiculously contagious. It's awesome. I hope everybody enjoyed it. So thank you. And we'll talk to you real soon.
Amazing. Thank you so much.